Low tide on the Irish Sea, and the most famous inhabitant of the Wirral in the northwest of England reflects on another successful season. Chris Boardman made his name as an amateur, winning Olympic gold in Barcelona and breaking the 1 hour record before turning professional with the GAN team in 1993. Boardman's roll of honour is already impressive. A steady string of victories over the last 4 years has confirmed his position as one of the world's leading riders. He burst onto the professional scene in the 1994 Tour de France, giving Britain their first yellow jersey for 34 years. He led for 3 days until a poor team time trial meant that advantage was lost when the race hit the roads of Britain, and Boardman withdrew before the mountains even arrived. Victory in the 1994 World Time Trial Championships confirmed his ability to ride against the clock, and hopes were high that Boardman could again take yellow in the 1995 Tour Prologue. However, in torrential rain in Saint-Brieuc, Boardman crashed. A broken wrist and ankle meant his tour was over after just 4 minutes. Those days in hospital, followed by weeks of recovery, gave Boardman an opportunity to assess his career.
I made the most of the 3 or 4 months where I had an enforced layoff. The first time I'd had a period off in the summer for 13 years. And I came back more focused and clear about what I was trying to do and how I wanted to get there. So in some ways I've benefited from that experience, and I have a much calmer, more rational approach to racing now.
That approach involved hours of training, both on the road and on his rollers at home. Always methodical, Boardman's aim was to get his fitness and work rate up to the necessary levels. His first big test on his return from injury this year would be March's Paris-Nice. He finished third overall, clocking the fastest ever average speed in a time trial in the process. Next up was the Criterium International, and the GAN team were out in force. Boardman took the early race lead, and when Switzerland's Mauro Gianetti attacked in the mountains, he was the only man to stay with him. The Briton was never in danger from then on and stayed clear for his first professional international stage race victory. More yellow jerseys followed for the GAN team at the Tour de France. However, it proved to be a painful experience for Boardman, who had never reached the mountains before, and his suffering was plain to see.
At that particular time, I hadn't finished the Tour de France, so I was prepared to go through a lot. And it was, without a doubt, the most unpleasant experience I've ever had on a bike, and I hope I never experience it again, but I'm sure I will.
Boardman overcame his difficulties to reach Paris for the first time. He finished 39th, an hour and a half behind overall winner Bjarne Riis. Rather than feel exhausted by his Tour de France efforts and overcoming a virus that prevented him from racing at full capacity, Boardman was now approaching the best form of his season and possibly his career. That form began with an Olympic bronze medal and was then followed by an amazing 2-week period in Manchester, which saw Boardman twice shatter the world 4-kilometre pursuit record before setting new figures for the world 1-hour record. Boardman's prowess against the clock was proving awesome, and a series of impressive time trial wins soon followed. At the Grand Prix des Nations, he handed out an incredible 5-minute beating to Bjarne Riis and Abraham Olano.
It was one of those experiences that you sometimes get in sport, a peak experience, when you don't suffer. I enjoyed that ride, very satisfying. And I honestly didn't think that the likes of Olano or Riis were trying hard until I actually saw the footage afterwards and saw their faces, and they were really, really trying hard. So then it became even more satisfying.
Performances like that saw Boardman start as favourite for the World Time Trial Championships. A creditable silver behind Alex Zuller could not disguise his apparent discomfort in the heavy rain. Conditions all too similar to those at Saint-Brieuc in 1995.
I peaked a considerable amount of weeks before the World Championships, and I managed to hold on to it at top level for about 5 weeks. But on the day, I'd already lost the time on a very physical part of the circuit, so I think I was going to lose anyway, but the weather just exaggerated that. I do accept the fact and acknowledge the fact that I have been affected by my experience at Saint-Briac, and it is something that I'm going to have to overcome.
Despite being a household name throughout Europe, Boardman remains remarkably unaffected by fame. The family home, which he shares with his wife Sally and their 4 young children, gives only tasteful hints as to Boardman's occupation. However, enter the GAN Stars workshop and you can see why he is known as one of the most technical and innovative riders in the peloton. An Aladdin's cave for any cycling enthusiast, the workshop also houses some of Boardman's most treasured memories.
There's various bits of memorabilia that have built up over the years, and just hanging up here we've got the bike that broke the world 1 hour record, we've got the bike that broke the world 1 hour record for the first time, bronze medal, Olympic Games on that one. This one here is, I still hold the fastest ever time trial in a race at 56 kilometres an hour was done on that one. We've got handlebars that were made for the World Championships, for the pursuit and for the world hour record. And due to a change in rules, they'll never get used again. We've got some very special electric gears. You literally just touch a little switch and it changes the gears. We've got some very, very light wheels that I'm now looking at for the Tour de France for the mountain stages next year. So there's a fair few bits and pieces around here, really.
Those mountain stages will make or break Boardman's 1997 season. The Tour de France will be the #1 aim, and a high overall finish will be determined by his durability on those vicious climbs.
It's reputed to be possibly the hardest tour in 10 years, extremely mountainous, and a lot of those mountains come right at the end. So I think you're going to see big time gaps between the first 10 riders. With that in mind, we'll plan a mountainous training camp that will probably follow some of the main routes that are going to be in the tour.
Boardman has proved that he's one of the world's top time trialers. If his climbing shows improvement, he could one day provide Britain with their first ever Tour de France winner.